Hey there, Duke fans. Welcome to episode 55 of DBR Bites, the Duke Basketball Roundup. Have you had withdrawal? Are you missing us? We've gotten a couple emails, gotten a couple tweets. I gotten a couple text messages from friends like, where's the podcast? Folks, it was July 4th. There wasn't a lot of news. Donald and I we need a little bit of a break, right, man? Donald's with me. Donald, we needed a break, right?
I broke to Vegas. That's what I did. So that's part of the reason. But yeah, there was soccer. We won't talk about the soccer on this show because it was disappointing to say the least. My other show, USA Soccer Cast, has a lot on the fallout from the Copa America for the U.S. men's national team and what could be possibly coming next week. But I went to Vegas to clear my mind, Jason, and thankfully I went to Vegas because it was a lot of fun. But there's some odds that we get to talk about now because this is the time of year where they start really honing down on what's to come over the next year.
Exactly. Yes. Donald's trip to Vegas becomes the basis for at least part of today's edition of the Duke Basketball Roundup. And here's what we did. Donald was out there. All the casinos, all the sports books were offering their odds on who will win next year's college basketball national championship. We went ahead and perused the odds. Donald, I'm interested in hearing your sleeper picks and things like that. Also, frankly, the odds give us a sense of how Vegas, at least, how the money at least thinks the ACC is going to shape up this year. And I was quite surprised at a couple of the rankings they have. Maybe there's some money to be made. Although, I don't know that I'm betting on any. I'm sure I'm betting on any of these ACC teams to win the national title next year other than Duke. But, hey, let's get started, though, with the national odds. The top team in Vegas, the club that folks expect to win the national title next year, is the UConn Huskies. Vegas is banking on a three-peat. Wow. I don't know about that, but they say UConn is 9-1 to win the national title. Kansas is next at 9.5 to 1. Alabama comes in at 12 to 1. And I have to say, man, Alabama brings back a lot of really, really good players. And they were very successful in the portal as well. And then your Duke Blue Devils are the fourth pick in Las Vegas. Duke is at 13 to 1. We could go on. Houston's 16 to 1. Then UNC is 17 to 1. And then we get Baylor, Gonzaga, Arizona, Arkansas, and on and on and on. Donald, before we get into other ACC teams, what do you think about Duke being the number 4 pick to win the national title, 13 to 1? UNC is the 6th pick at 17 to 1. Give me your perspective on these.
Jason, a few weeks back when we asked Brendan Marks the same question, or it was a similar question, right? We asked him about a lot of people having Duke in the top 10 of their, way too early preseason top 25 polls. And he mentioned that, yeah, he probably thinks that Duke is a top 5 team in the country. And this shows that, right? That at least Vegas thinks that Duke is one of the top.
I think he sort of said like 5 to 7, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, he said if someone marked him as 7, 8, or 9, he couldn't necessarily get mad at that because, quite frankly, people don't know what to think of this team. Obviously, the hype is there, but they haven't seen more than half of this team play. We have only 3 guys coming back to the squad that were, or 2 guys really that are coming back with any real experience from last year's team. And they're just not getting the bump that we used to get every year under Coach K. We talked about all of that. This kind of reflects that. And it shows that, hey, there are some established teams out there that are, kind of the safe picks, right? UConn may not be necessarily viewed as the favorite, right? But they are the safest pick because they are the team that has won 2 in a row. And they have, again, Dan Hurley gets a little bump. They have a good squad coming back. So you can kind of use them as the safe pick. Kansas, again, always a safe pick. They usually have a really good squad. They usually have a lot of turnover. Then you start getting into the teams that could do something or could be expected to be there at the end, like a Alabama, like a Duke, like a UNC, a Houston, right? Then after that, it's kind of like, I was looking at some of the teams that we will be facing in the non-conference, Jason. Obviously, we have Kansas. They're plus 950. Arizona is at plus 2,500. We're going to obviously go to Tucson next year.
By the way, plus 2,500 means 25 to 1, just so folks understand. I think saying it in those terms, like 25 to 1, that makes more sense to people than plus 2,500. But anyway, go ahead.
I'm just looking. I look at plus minuses and what
Yeah.
they have in Vegas. If you read a book, they're not going to say 25-1. So get used to these numbers. These are the numbers that you'll see on the ESPN tickers and all that throughout the season. But yes, 25-1. Basically, Arizona has. You have Auburn, who will face in the ACC SEC challenge. They're 30-1 plus 3,000, and then you have Kentucky at plus 3,500, 35-1, and you have Illinois, who we're going to face in the Garden in February at some point. I think they said February 12th or 25th or something like that. That game or that team is going off at 60-1 right now. So these are strong teams that we're playing. Obviously, Illinois might be there, and so it seems like Vegas has a clear set of 5 teams that they think could really do some damage, maybe 6 or 7, and then after that is really a crapshoot, and it could obviously all these are going to change throughout the season. But right now, they can't really peg how this season is going to shape up after those top few teams that they think are the most likely to win it all.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have to say I'm a little surprised UNC is 17-1, that they're the 6th most popular pick. I think by the way, both Duke and UNC are sort of higher in Vegas than where the experts sort of say they are in the polls. And I think that a lot of that is the effect of Duke and UNC being two of the most popular, arguably the two, alongside Kentucky, I guess, most popular programs out there, and that there are just a lot of fans who are going to bet on those teams reflexively. And it's sort of said that if you want true odds on like a Duke team or a Carolina team or Kentucky for that matter, you can't really get them because there are always so many people that are going to bet on those teams, and that sort of there's never a good bet on a team that is that popular. But I'm a little surprised at Carolina at 17-1. I think there's just some huge problems on the front line, as Brendan Marks talked about with us. But I wanted to point out there's a team that I think is undervalued. That I think I see Baylor at 20-1. I'm like, that Baylor team I think looks real. I mean, they brought in Jeremy Roach, they brought in No Chad Omier from Miami. They bring in VJ Edgecombe as a freshman, who I think is going to be one of the top 2-3 freshmen in the country. And that Baylor team to me looks really nicely loaded. They got a few guys coming back who are nice, experienced players. They're going to be very talented, and they're going to be really old. That's a good combination in modern college basketball. I like Baylor at 21. That's sort of my, if you want, is 20-1 a sleeper? I don't know, but that's the team that I look at and I go, I want some of that action.
Yeah, I don't know if they necessarily call them a sleeper. I do agree that there is some value there if you're value better, so to speak. But it's kind of interesting when you compare it to, again, Kansas being so far ahead of the rest of the Big 12. You have Houston at 16-1 and then Baylor. So obviously those 3 teams are viewed as the class of the Big 12. But I
Yeah.
feel like Houston and Baylor are not as far off from Kansas as these odds right now would have you suspect.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of conferences, let's get to the ACC, because you provided me with the odds on every single ACC team to win the national title. Obviously, everybody's a long shot when it comes to winning the national title, but as we said, Duke's 13-1, UNC 17-1. Here's some other ACC teams. Miami is the 3rd pick in the ACC at 80-1, then Louisville at 100-1. I want to stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
Donald,
That was interesting.
Vegas says Louisville is essentially the 4th best team in the ACC and has them darn close to Miami as number 3. What a turnaround for the Louisville Cardinal. Think how bad they have been the past couple of years. I mean, this would literally be a worst to first, like, you've never seen before for them to really be in the national title hunt. But 100-1 is not like terrible odds compared to a lot of other teams out there.
And I wonder if this is wishful thinking, right? Because this is one, gift, right? This is one package that we have no idea what is inside. This is a brand new team that is coming with a brand new coach. We have no idea what to expect from this team. So putting them at again, the 4th best team in the ACC, at least according to the odds, is very interesting to me. I don't know how that it suggests anything, at least in this particular case, just because of, again, the fact that we have no idea what to expect from all these players. But I think it's just mainly the gathering of some of these players that got through the portal that are at least established names, right? There's guys that people have heard of, and it's enough for Vegas to formulate an opinion that these players combined with some of the freshmen coming in are going to be okay. And Jason, when you look at some of the other teams going down the ACC, That one struck the most to me, but also Miami at 80-1 being like the third best team. The gap between them and UNC and Duke, I think, is also interesting. I think you played into it a little bit with everyone loves Duke and UNC, so everyone's going to want to bet them. These are not picks that you can bet against, right? You can't pick $10 against UNC at 17-1 to win. You can only pick 4 teams. So
Right.
I think that part's interesting, but I think Miami being at 80-1 is also interesting because they got, again, they have some turnover, but they lost 2 of their main starters from last year who are going elsewhere. You mentioned no Chatter Amir, I just don't know.
Yeah, and Wooga Papa.
Yeah, Wooga Papa. But like as a Miami alum, I don't know what to expect from this Miami team. I think 80-1 might be, right in the thick of things, but it's hard to suspect what they're going to do when it comes to the ACC because of all the turnover they have.
All right, let's go down the rest of the ACC really quickly. And we don't need to talk about these, but I just want people to sort of know what Vegas thinks in terms of how they're ranking ACC teams. Again, Duke, UNC, Miami, Louisville. Virginia's next at 150-1. Virginia and Wake are both at 150-1. Those are the teams that Vegas expects to be 5th and 6th. Clemson, NC State, and Syracuse are at 200-1. That's sort of the middle of the ACC pack. Right behind them, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, and Pittsburgh, all at 250-1. If you ask me if Pittsburgh is rated too low, I mean, they have Pittsburgh in the bottom half of the ACC. I don't see that. I think Pittsburgh brings back a fair number of pretty good players. I know they lost a lot, but I would pick Pittsburgh higher than this. Florida State's at 300-1, so is Notre Dame. And then, Donald, the bottom 4. These new teams we let in the conference, these guys are not doing us any favors. SMU's 350-1. And then Stanford and Cal join BC at 500-1. The 3 new admissions to the ACC are picked to be the number, 15, 17, and 18 teams in the conference. Going to be a rough road, I think, for SMU, Stanford, and Cal. I think SMU might be a little undervalued there. They may be better than people think, but anyway, that's sort of how it shook out in terms of Vegas numbers.
And keep in mind, 500-1 is the longest odds that were on the sheet or on the odds book for MGM.
Right. After that, you get the field. You get everybody else.
You get the 16 seeds of the world. But it's interesting, when you think about 501 being the longest odds, the majority, over half of the ACC is above that median, right? At 250-1 or higher, or I guess lower odds to win. So it's interesting that we only have a few teams that Vegas considers, quote, bad, right? Like there's teams that they think are average, middle of the table. If you look at the entirety of college basketball, at least the Power 5 schools for the most part. But this is, BC, Stanford, Cal, SMU. I agree with you, Jason. I think SMU might be a little bit better than that, but it's hard to tell because how much SMU basketball have we watched over the last decade, right? Like not much. So it's unfortunate that our experience will be somewhat limited when we have to preview some of these teams. But I think when it comes to those teams, they have to hit the ground running to show that they belong in the ACC, or they could get left behind real quickly. Remember, the top 15 seeds out of 18 are the only ones that get to go to the ACC tournament at the end. Yep. So bottom 3 seeds stay at home and do not get a shot at getting to the NCAA tournament, whatever long odds they may be.
All right, with that, we're going to take a quick break here. On the other side, there's been some NBA Summer League action happening, and at least one Blue Devil who's playing in Summer League is showing out so far. I think this guy has a shot to make an NBA roster. We're going to tell you about it when we come back.
This episode of the Duke Basketball Roundup is brought to you by BetterHelp.
We live in a completely online world, but that world makes it easy to think that people got it together and are living great lives. We only share the pieces of our lives that are fun and memorable and avoid posting about our pain. So it's easy to envy others who look like their life is full of the successes that we crave. And it's easy for us to avoid the things that get us down in life.
Therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, so that you can start living your best life. That's where BetterHelp can provide the assist. It's convenient and flexible, and all you need to do is just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched to a licensed therapist. And if you feel more comfortable with the switch, you can do that at any time.
So if you need help with focusing on how to live your best life, try BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/DukeBB. That's DUKEBB. Visit it today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DukeBB.
Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
We're back from the break, and the NBA Summer League has begun. Just started yesterday. We're recording this around 8 p.m. on Sunday night. Yesterday was the first day of Summer League. Only a few of the teams are playing in this first sort of Summer League session. And then it moves on over the course of the next week. We're going to get a much better sense of what's going on in NBA Summer League. But so far, we have seen a certain dude named Marquise Bolden just absolutely showing out for the Golden State Warriors Summer League team. So, first of all, it's worth noting, I think Golden State has the best team in Summer League. They are crushing people. They won by 40, almost 40 points on Saturday. As we're talking right now, there's about 3 minutes left in their game with the Lakers Summer League team. They're winning by 28. They're basically crushing everyone so far in Summer League play. In the first game against Miami, Marquise Bolden had 13 rebounds and 6 block shots. I'm sorry, 6 block shots is a lot. That is serious work protecting the paint, protecting the rim. Now, he only scored 6 points. He took a three-pointer and he missed it. And we know that Marquise Bolden has been working on his three-pointers. But again, I said there's about 3 minutes left in their game right now. And at the moment, in their second game, Marquise Bolden has 8 rebounds and 4 block shots. Now, that's in just 20 minutes of action. He's actually scored a bit more in this game. He's got 9 points in this game. He only had 6 in the last game. But he is the starting center for the Golden State team in Summer League. And Bolden is blocking shots like nothing ever, averaging so far 5 blocks per game. That's a big, I know it's not against NBA players. It's against G Leaguers, essentially. But that is a big deal. And I won't be at all surprised if Marquise Bolden can maybe find his way to a 2-way contract out of his play. If he continues doing stuff like this, it is really, really impressive.
He has 4 blocks as we speak in this game that you mentioned is going on right now as we record.
Yeah.
And Jayson, I think it's easy to say that this is lesser competition, but it might be more inspired competition only because everyone that is on a Summer League roster is trying to get to the big show if they haven't already, right? That some of these guys got the rookie deals and things like that, but a lot of these guys are trying to show
they are hungry,
they want to get hungry. Yeah, they're hungry to get not just they're not even trying to get a NBA contract. They're just trying to get a training camp roster invite. That's it. They are playing basically for the chance to get an opportunity to get another chance. And so you got guys who are trying to really show that they can do work. And what Marquise has done, again, just a couple days now. Like we only have a couple box scores to go through. There's still a couple more weeks of this, and we'll see other guys, including Jeremy Kane and Kyle Filipowski, I believe, make their debuts tomorrow, Monday. Yeah. So you're going to see guys entering the fray, but make no mistake, it's not even just that Marquise Bolden is getting looks from the Warriors. Obviously, the Warriors have given him a shot on their Summer League team, but that doesn't mean that they have the rights to sign him exclusively. Any team can come grab him. So this is just like, it's just like an NBA combine or like the NFL combine where you got guys who are kind of like, or a pro day, right? Like
it's a great point.
Pro days. Yeah. If you think about the NFL pro day, people come and they try to see the first round talent, right? They're coming to see the big wide receivers, the big quarterbacks, the linemen. And then they see that other guy who might've been second string on their team just absolutely have a day. And that's how guys get drafted in the 5th and 6th and 7th round. This is basically the 5th and 6th and 7th round of the NBA draft this summer league, because people now can kind of go, hey, that guy that played for, Golden State, he had a nice series. We need a big man. Let's try and see if we can talk to his agent and bring him in. There's a lot of wheeling deal in this thing. The only thing that Marquise has to do is to keep doing what he's doing. He's gotten a couple of 10-day contracts. He's been on NBA rosters over the past few years, and despite the fact that he's been up and down between the G League and the NBA, he still keeps fighting. And I really, really love that. I know all Duke fans love that for him. And hopefully this will be the start of seeing Marquise Bolden with his name on a roster towards the end of the season or the beginning of the season in October.
So I wanted to just give folks a couple other notes of things that I saw in the first few, summer league box scores and such. So it is worth noting that the steal of the draft, Dalton Connect, playing for the Lakers. Everyone was like, oh my God, how'd this guy last so long? How'd the Lakers get him? Was it like 16 or something like 16, 17? I forget. He fell really far, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, what a steal for the Lakers. He went 3 of 12 in his first game. In his second game, again, the game isn't over, but he's currently 3 of 13. These are not good numbers, Donald. These are not efficient shooting performances from my man Dalton Connect. It is worth noting that the Lakers have Blake Hinson from Pittsburgh, ACC star, a guy who Duke fans know very, very, very well. Blake Hinson in his first summer league game shot 5 of 7 from 3-point range. We have seen that before. When Blake Hinson heats up, you cannot stop him. 5 of 7 from 3 in just 19 minutes. He led the Lakers with 17 points. But of course, he turns around the second game. He's 2 of 10 from 3. It's the struggle. This is the Blake Hinson struggle. We're all familiar with it. And then I wanted to note this. Yesterday, Charlotte versus San Antonio in summer league action pitted Leaky Black against Harrison Ingram, pair of Carolina guys. I think Harrison Ingram, by the way, made a big mistake not going back to college. He could have made well over $1 million, but he's now like just hoping to get a 2-way deal he was drafted, but he was drafted number 49. And, he's sort of like, am I going to get my 2-way deal from the Spurs? I don't know. Anyway, Leaky Black, who was on a 2-way deal with Charlotte a year ago, had just 5 points and 5 rebounds. I don't know. He didn't play. He only played 19 minutes. They may not feel like they need to see that much from him. Harrison Ingram plays a team high 26 minutes for San Antonio, and he was terrible. 1 of 6 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3. He grabbed 7 rebounds, but not an impressive debut for Harrison Ingram as he attempts to win over the San Antonio Spurs and, maybe get a spot on the roster or a 2-way deal. We'll see what happens. But I just love that Leaky Black and Harrison Ingram were playing each other in the first round of summer league. Strange bedfellows that happen here when you get to summer league action.
I mean, Leaky Black played college basketball for 47 years, so the fact that he's on the summer league roster is kind of something I need to get used to.
He's the elder statesman of summer league.
Yeah, he's probably collecting a social security check at the same time he gets his NBA summer league check. But I think also when you look at some of these box scores, ladies and gentlemen, if you go through and you're kind of like, oh, let's look at these. You have to get out of the mind frame of, yes, I know these guys were just in college, but you have to get into the mind frame of what an NBA box score looks like. What Jason just described is what an NBA box score looks like all the time. Some dude takes like 20 shots and makes like 3 of them.
Yeah.
9 points, 4 rebounds. Everyone's like, yo, he really impacted the game off the bench. And you're just like, wait, that doesn't compute. Some of the efficiency is going to go out the window here. But again, it's about how they look on the court with their teammates. And again, sometimes the non-statable things are going to be what they're looking at. Guys who hustle, guys who go for loose balls and all that, because that's, something that's missing in the NBA. And that's something a lot of teams need. So you're going to see a lot of these guys, even if they're doing 2 for 10, you're going to say, oh, that guy had a good game because he hustled and he worked and he played defense well and all this stuff. Those are things that you need to look at as you watch the games, which I also just want to commend the NBA on making the summer league what it has become. Because a few years ago, it was just things that they put on NBA TV in the middle of the afternoon because you were just a junkie who wanted to watch something other than baseball. And now it's become a full-fledged, series of events where people come out and they're big time games. They give out trophies and rings. And so guys have opportunities to win something and be a part of something during the summer, but it also gives us a chance to look at what the future of the NBA could look like, especially in the form of some of our Duke players.
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to mention from Summer League. This just jumped out to me in the box score. There was some dude named Adonis Arms. By the way, what a great name, Adonis Arms. So this guy, he played at Texas Tech. He's been in the G League for a couple of years, kind of a decent G League kind of player. He put up 32 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists in his first G League game. And I'm like, my man the struggle is real, and my man is on his way to getting a contract. 32 points and 11 rebounds in a summer league game. Unfortunately, in his next game, he was just 1 of 6 from 3. He had 4 rebounds. He had the worst plus minus on his team. Oh, well, the dream was real for a moment and then crashing back down to earth. Nothing sums up summer league like Adonis Arms, who can score 32 one game and go 1 of 6 from 3 in the very next one. Ouch.
I will say, to wrap this up, Jason, I mentioned that Jared McCain with the Sixers and Cal Filipowski with the Utah Jazz, both of them are expected to make their summer league debuts tomorrow night on Monday. Both of those games are supposed to be on ESPN. They're not playing each other, but I believe the Sixers are first, and then the Jazz will be right after that. So tune in. You get to see the first, at least the summer league debut of our 2 Brotherhood players that just got drafted. But it's always fun. I think the best part is to watch and in seeing the guys that you like, or the guys that seeing how they do on this stage, because again, it's the first stage of many for them, and it's going to be fun to watch them put on that jersey for the first time.
All right, as we wrap things up here really quick, because we don't have a lot of info on this, but we got to mention the opposite. What's the opposite of summer league? It is the national team. It is Team USA, filled with nothing but super mega stars. They began their scrimmages against the select team today. And we got some little clips, Donald. We've got some little hints about how Cooper Flagg, I want to remind everyone, Cooper Flagg is still 17 years old. How Cooper Flagg is doing playing against LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard and Joel Embiid and Anthony Edwards and all that. I mean, like, just star after star after star. The word is, at least the stuff that's, coming in on Twitter, is that Cooper Flagg is actually kind of holding his own. And there are a couple clips we saw. There was a clip. He gets his shot blocked, but he kind of recovers, passes it to a guy, and then cuts to the basket and gets a really nice slam dunk. And he had another play. This, to me, was the jaw dropper, where he gets a pass, he drives the lane, the defense comes to him, and he throws a behind-the-back pass to his teammate. I forget the select team. I can't tell exactly who. The select team is sort of like young NBA guy. It's not quite, like Paulo Banchero level NBA stars, but it's sort of the next level down. Guys who are first, second, maybe third year in the league.
And some who play in Europe as well.
Yeah. But it's good. The select team is good players, some really good players. Definitely NBA level players. In fact, there are a number of NBA starters that are on the select team. But again, Cooper Flagg makes this ridiculous behind the back pass that leads to one of his teammates getting a dunk. And again, he's doing that against Jimmy Butler. And I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous how good this team is. And he's on the floor with them, and doesn't look like he doesn't belong. It's crazy.
I was thinking about this the other day. Cooper Flagg is the only college player on the select team, and he has not played a second in college. Imagine that, Jason. That's where we're at, right? Like, the guy that they brought to represent all of college is a guy who has not yet played in college. That's how, and the guy who should be technically a rising high school senior, because right, he's 17. He reclassified into this class a year ago, and I am super, super pumped to kind of get more about what he's been doing. I think Zion O on Twitter said that the word is that he's been paired with LeBron James, right, when they're going up in scrimmages, which he's going to learn a lot. He's going to learn a lot with by playing him and playing those type of guys, right, and learning from them. But they had a little clip, Jason, I think I sent it to you earlier, that NBA did about Cooper Flagg, and they kind of were asking him while he's getting like promo pictures taken for the select team, like, hey, how do you feel like you want to do? And he's like, hey, I just want to learn from all these guys. Like, these are guys that I've grown up admiring and respecting and watching them play, and it's going to be great to kind of be on the floor with them. And so just also the learning, the knowledge he's going to get from not just his teammates, from the other guys, because the other guys know who he is, right? They're not going to sit there and say, yo, teach the rook a lesson. They might do that, but they're also going to pull him aside and say, hey, here's what I see when you do this move, or when you make this cut. And you're going to he's going to get tutelage from some of the best coaches that are out there, right? Like Steve Kerr is the head coach of USA Basketball. even Mark Few is going to sit there, probably do a little scouting on and make sure that when Gonzaga's in the NCAA tournament, they're put on the opposite side of the bracket from Duke. Because this kid is the real deal, and he's going to get a worlds of experience with this team. And also, Jason, Kamimawach has just left Duke. Also, he has joined up with the South Sudan team. He's obviously part of the divisional team. We expect him to make the final 12-man roster for South Sudan to go to the Olympics. But these guys are getting some real world experience, and it's really fun to see that happen.
Yeah, by the way, I said Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's not. I was wrong. He's not on the team. I think I was thinking of Drew Holiday. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, regardless, it's ridiculous guys. Tyrese Halliburton, just absurd guys Devin Booker, that Cooper Flagg is getting to play against, and the experience of playing against guys because look, Cooper is used to being the best player on the floor. In fact, I'm not sure Cooper Flagg maybe has never played a game in the past, I don't know, like 4 years where he wasn't the best player on the floor. Well, now he's playing with the best players in the world. He's not the best player on the floor right now. Maybe someday, but not at this moment. And I think for him, the degree that he can learn from Steph Curry, from Devin Booker, from a Tyrese Halliburton and an Anthony Edwards, guys who, have at least a little bit similar game. Drew Holiday, Kawhi Leonard, especially Jayson Tatum. Kawhi Leonard and Jayson Tatum, to me, are kind of the models for what you would hope from Cooper Flagg. Two guys who are absolutely elite, ridiculous defenders, who are also elite offensive players where the offense runs through them. That's what Cooper Flagg is going to be in the future, and LeBron James, that guy as well. I should mention him. But I mean, for Cooper to get to play with those guys, pick their brains for a couple of days, test himself, know what works and know what doesn't, it is going to add exponentially to what he's able to do his 1 year at Duke, and then his learning curve for being one of the best players in the NBA, which I think everyone agrees is his someday fate.
We talked about how Duke is focused on team workouts, and they're saying, hey, we're going to forego a lot of the individual workouts and the individual development drills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is Cooper Flagg's individual drills right here. Going to this team for a couple of days. That'll suffice for a while because he's going to learn a lot. Hopefully, I just say to Cooper, if he hasn't already, be a sponge because there's a lot of information to soak up from this couple of days out here in Vegas.
Yeah, Jayson Tatum is paying extra special attention and care, looking out for Cooper and making sure that kid both learns everything he needs to learn.
Too. So the brotherhood's there. They're taking care of it.
It is real. All right, with that, we're going to wrap it up here in the latest edition of DBR Bites. Thanks for joining us. Hey, a little hint for you. Coming up in the next few days, we're going to have a conversation with a guy from Draft Express, one of the folks who looks at college players and tries to figure out what's their NBA future. He was at one of the elite camps this past week that both Tyrese Proctor and Sion James were at. He's going to tell us everything he saw from those two players. I think he came away really impressed. We're going to have that for you in the next couple of days. Until then, I'm Jason, he's Donald, and this is the Duke Band playing us out and taking us home. So this guy posted several videos from the CP3 camp, and he highlighted like 4 or 5 different players, and Proctor and Sion were 2 of the players he highlighted. I'm like,
I saw the Sion video.
Yeah, man, that Sion video was like fucking
man's game.
Yeah,
it's a man's game, and he's the only one playing it.
I've been saying on the DBR boards, man, the Sion train, get ready to board it. I'm the captain. I'm the conductor of the Sion hype train. We need more people coming on board every day.
Jason, I you know what? I love you. I think you're fantastic at trying to be a conductor of this train. But have you seen that man? That man is the train. He's the only he is the conductor. He is the head of the train. He's the caboose. There's no need for everyone else. We're just gonna get run over just trying to get on the train. That's how strong he is.